Hey everybody.
Okay, I think it's on.
We've been watching.
Didn't want to see the last 10 minutes.
We've been waiting for a video to start, and then I'm like, maybe we just click the button to say start live video.
It said start.
That could work.
It's rotating, right?
Yes, unlike our intellect of the internet, it doesn't rotate. It's pretty stagnant. Oh, now Linda's watch is talking. Everything's falling apart now. But welcome to another informative session at Balance Point Health Center, Optimizing Health Group. We'll be teaching you about your body. We're pretty good with that. Technology of any kind.
Not so much.
Not really
so
great.
much.
Like Linda yesterday forgot. She couldn't understand why the TV wasn't working. And luckily, our 12-year-old decided to tell her to maybe try turning it on.
Okay, enough.
Because she was the
Did
clicker.
You stop giving away my secrets?
Why is the clicker not working? The TV was never
Can't be good
on.
at everything. You can't be good at everything.
You can't be good at everything. No.
Anyways, welcome, you guys. I'm really pumped about this topic in particular because I personally believe we haven't talked about it enough. And what I mean is natural immunity. We haven't talked about it enough over the last couple of years. And I think it's important. And so we thought we would kind of simplify it and just kind of have a little discussion around what it takes to be and build a strong immune system.
Yeah, because it's very important. Like even like especially today, the one thing you can actually control in your life is your immune response, your health.
Absolutely.
Instead of relying on external forces, there's a lot of things you can do to empower yourself that never get talked about. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Top 10 reasons, or top 10 things you can do to help your immune system and just have a healthier lifestyle and feel better.
Yeah. So we thought we'd come at it a bit of a different angle. We thought we'd come at it as yes, looking at daily habits, but looking at things that can take away from immunity in terms of things that we do every day. And then we're going to give you some tips after each of them. So we're going to share 10-ish items on things you can do about. But what I want you to think about, so a lot of the information we're going to present is going to be stuff you already know. Maybe some of it's new, I'm not sure. But what I want you to think about is, what do you need to hear today? Because let's be honest, we have all of this information and a lot of us know what we're supposed to do, but we don't really do it, right? For a number of different reasons.
Just like my patients who I ask to stretch, and they know they should stretch, and they feel better when they stretch.
Yeah.
But when I ask them if they've stretched, they say no, which I say, that's fantastic because it just proves osteopathy is good even in spite of ourselves. Just like our immune system.
Yeah.
We do, quick story. I had a naturopath friend of mine who he had to fly to Denver for a conference, and he could only get in at 4 a.m. because he wanted to get a really inexpensive flight because he was very young, and he went to a Denny's because he was 4 a.m. What else are you going to do? So he goes to Denny's and he orders a green tea, which must have been really bizarre to the people at Denny's because who gets a green tea at a buffet? And he actually, unfortunately, he had someone sitting in front of him who was eating an excessive amount of food, like a plate of bacon and a plate of eggs. And this person was just eating and eating and eating and eating, and they actually started to have a stress response from the amount of food they were taking in. They were starting to perspire, and they were really labored breathing. And he just had, at that moment, this unbelievable admiration for the human body because the person was actively almost injuring themselves with food, but the body was so resilient it would just keep fighting and going and going and going. So the body's incredible, but
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the body is designed to heal itself if we give it the right tools. And so that's what we want to talk about tonight. You have so much power around your health. And so let's do it.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to talk about the number one habit that sometimes impacts immunity. And that first thing is being a night owl. Anyone there a night owl? Anyone stay up late after 11? After 11 would be considered late.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I don't do that anymore.
Okay, so I know a lot of people do. I know when I see clients, a lot of people stay up late because that's when they think that they're at their most productive time. That can actually impact your health. There's a really cool study done. It was in 2017, and they studied twins, and it was 11 sets of twins, and they looked at the twins that had a hard time sleeping.
Or chosen not to
they were getting like between 4 and 5 hours of sleep, and they compared them to the other twin who got a good amount of sleep, between 7 and 9.
7 and 9.
Yeah. And they found out that the group that got less sleep, no surprise here, their immune system wasn't as effective. So the lymphocytes weren't developed as easily at night, and they were impacted. Their immune system was impacted negatively.
Yeah. So stop binge watching your Netflix shows. It's not going anywhere. Although sometimes it does, and they lose the actual licensing, so that would be upsetting if you didn't see the end.
Yeah.
But people can tell you about it, or you can just look at, on Google how it ended. But you need your sleep. Very important.
Yeah. So the key thing about sleep, it's not necessarily just get some sleep and get those numbers of hours, but it's really about being regular with your sleep. So try to figure out a regular time that you're going to bed, and then get up at the same time all the time. And the reason for this is because it's so important to your circadian rhythms. We're going to get into that later. But basically what's involved in your circadian rhythms are two important hormones, cortisol and melatonin, both really important for your immune system. Your cortisol is what wakes you up, and your melatonin is what gets you to sleep. And that melatonin is really important for your immune system. So you want to make sure you're getting a good level of sleep.
I thought you were going to talk about that later.
No. Well, okay, I'm going to get into
We have a lot of things to get through.
We have a lot of things to get to. Okay, so the first one.
Next thing is sugar. Increased consumption of refined sugar. You love it, I love it, we love it, but only in moderate amounts. You really shouldn't have it. It's not good for you. It can actually reduce your white blood cell count. So that's not very good. So that definitely impacts your immune system.
It impacts the vitamin C getting into the cells.
And they say that 30 minutes after consuming sugar, your immune system starts to be impacted, and can be impacted for up to 3 days.
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant. If you're having bad habits, it can lead, if it's a constant cycle of bad habits of eating refined sugars, then that definitely can have an impact on your immune system and how you function.
Yeah, and here's the thing, it's usually not the sugar that you're adding to your coffee in the morning that is the problem. The problem are the processed foods. So the next time you're in the grocery store and you're picking up a jar of tomato sauce, as an example, read the list, and I bet you in the top 5 ingredients you're going to see sugar there. And so just start to become more aware as a shopper where that sugar is showing up on your ingredient list, because that is the real culprit. It's the processed foods. So our marketing or manufacturers do a really great job of hiding sugar. So basically what your code word is OS. Look for anything that ends in OS, and that is sugar, okay? So try to avoid having sugar in the top 5 ingredients.
Next one's alcohol. And it's not your glass of red wine. Your glass of red wine is fine. They've proven that in many studies that a glass of red wine is very beneficial. Yeah. It's excessive consumption of alcohol. Yeah. Any kind of increased consumption of alcohol. It sounds like a great idea sometimes, but basically what it's going to do, it's going to it affects your liver function for one.
Yeah.
It affects
your digestion,
and it affects the production of white blood cells.
Yeah.
So, besides the hangover, which, no one enjoys. Yeah. No one enjoys that at all.
Well, it impacts your sleep too, right? So there's the double whammy.
And then it affects your mood, which then, can create more stress,
you lose
especially.
You lose school.
Or your wife won't let you sleep in because you got to get up and do stuff with the kids and put out a whole yard of earth. Not that that's ever happened here before, but, that's stressful. So who needs that, right? So moderation is the key. And that's moderation for most things in life. If you can use moderation, life goes pretty good.
Yeah.
If you're living in excess of everything, it's usually not a good recipe.
Yeah. So be honest with yourself there too. Doctors are told that when they ask you how much do you drink, they're supposed to multiply it by 3. So if you say that you usually have 1 glass of wine a night, they usually multiply it by 3 in their heads, and that's what they put on your chart. So
and it's been hard. It's been a really stressful year, and it's something easy to turn to to alter your mood and kind of forget where you are at the moment. But there's other things you can do too, and we'll talk about those later on.
Yeah.
That can help affect your mood in a positive way.
Yeah.
So you don't get into bad habits.
Yeah. So the other thing is being sedentary, right? Mm-hmm. So not moving your body enough. And we all know this, right? We all know exercise is so important to your immune system. It heats your body up, right? And when your body is hot and heated up, it helps to prevent bacteria from forming on your tissues. That's why we love our infrared sauna. It kind of does the same thing without the exercise.
But if you use the sauna, it doesn't mean you can't exercise. Yeah. That's not a thing.
No. But here's the thing. Yeah. I mean, exercise can be overdone as well. So what you want to do is make sure you exercise. So pick something you love doing so that you actually do it. And make sure you don't overdo it, because research shows that if you stress your body too much, so over 90 minutes of extremely intense exercise is actually a stress to the body. Your body then produces cortisol and adrenaline, which then takes away from the immune system. So it impacts the immune system negatively.
Yeah. And I know for myself, I need exercise. Exercise is very important to me, well, to both of us, because it actually, when you have a hard day at work or you have a stressful situation, being able to go, not even going for a run, but any kind of movement really helps. And also just from an orthopedic point of view, if you don't rest, you rust. It's what we like to say.
Yeah.
So you need to keep moving, because if you stop moving, all these other problems happen. And, with exercise, you're actually working the most important muscle in your body, which is your heart.
Yeah.
So you've got to get that going. And then it also releases chemicals, hormones in your body that help your immune system and help lift your mood as well.
Yeah. So think of it that way. The more sedentary you are, you're basically putting your immune system to sleep.
Now,
muscle mass is really important, especially this year, building muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to control blood sugar levels and really think about exercises that will build strength in your body as well.
And it supports your structure. So, if you're having trouble going up and down stairs, not only can be cardiovascular, but can also just be muscular. And, so maybe you're not exercising as much as you want. Maybe you're having a little bit of sugar and maybe a little bit of junk food. But at least the next one, most of you, I'm sure, are fine with it, which is smoking.
Yeah.
Well, not smoking, not actually smoking. But smoking's horrible for you, right? So that's it has a major impact on your immune system.
Yeah.
And
it's got over 500 chemicals when you're smoking. And so your body is just not designed to detox that many chemicals at once. And so it's just too much. It overloads your body, and then your immune system is impacted negatively.
Yeah, and also it's interesting. So when I did my research on smoking for my thesis, it's incredible that they would do punch biopsies in people in tissue. So they take a little piece of tissue out of patients, smokers and non-smokers, and they found the people who actually smoked, it took them way longer to heal from a simple wound. So imagine if you can't heal, if it takes you like twice as long to heal from a cut, imagine what that's doing to your entire immune system. Mm-hmm. Not to mention every other function in your body.
Yeah.
Physiological systems get impacted so greatly by it. So stop smoking.
Yeah. Number 6, junk food. So junk food is loaded with unhealthy fats. We say saturated fats, but the bad saturated fats. There are some good saturated fats.
Even though they are delicious.
Some, yeah. But once you get them out, they're not so delicious. Funny, we got this loaf of gluten-free poppy seed loaf the other day as a treat for the cottage.
That's a treat. That's a treat.
Yeah.
Did you hear what you just said?
Yeah.
Gluten-free poppy seed loaf is a treat for the cottage.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
it is in our house.
It
is
now a small glimpse into our world.
Anyways, it was interesting because your tastes develop when you start to eat more whole foods, so that when you then go and have a junk food, and pretty much anything processed is considered a junk food, it actually tasted really disgusting. Like on the roof of your mouth, you can taste like that fake oil.
It was very oily, very chemical tasting, which is not appealing.
Yeah, and the problem with junk food is it's processed. So basically, when you're processing a food, the manufacturers take things out and put them back in the wrong proportion. So minerals, vitamins. And then what that does is when you consume that food, your body then steals from your tissues and your fluids to be able to pull those missing minerals to be able to digest it well. And that leaves you deficient. So they're actually anti-nutrients when you're eating a junk food or a processed food. Look at it that way. It is an anti-nutrient. It's stealing from your body. And so that leaves you low in a lot of really important vitamins that are important for the immune system, like zinc being one of them, vitamin C being another.
All the things that Linda makes me take every day in my giant pill bottle. At my 40th birthday, most people don't expect to receive a pill box for every day of the week.
I did not get you that for your birthday.
It was blue. And it's not a lie. And so
I would never do that.
Oh my God. Yeah, okay.
So
one of the other things that will affect your immune system, which is upsetting to me because it's one of my loves in my life, is coffee. Coffee, caffeine. It's not great for you in excess. Now, there's studies show 1 to 2 cups a day is fine.
Right.
They didn't say what size of cup, so I'm going to go with the one I'm still drinking, which is rather large. But that's okay, because it affects me in a positive way and allows my family to enjoy my presence more. If I don't have my coffee, I don't like to talk to people.
No, not good. Anyways, yeah.
Do you want to have that conversation? When Linda has a cup of coffee, all her thoughts come out at once, and it's like when we drive, I tell her she has to give me one thought at a time because it's like she has a bag of cats. And she lets all the cats out of the bag at once, and they're all running around the car, and I'm trying to drive a car, and I can't keep up on all the conversations.
So what's happening in the body is the body is releasing cortisol when you have caffeine, and cortisol is a hormone that is linked to stress. So it's a stress to the body, and when your body releases cortisol and cortisol goes high, your immune system is not a priority for your body. And so nothing goes to your immune system. It gets pulled away and you get shifted into survival mode. Okay, so cortisol is like survival mode, running from the tigers, right?
Can affect your blood sugar.
Yeah, it affects everything. Yeah, so many body systems. So definitely keep it balanced with caffeine.
Yes.
So I totally did those out of order. So now we're on number 7.
No, actually,
hydration, right?
Yeah, which you talked about already in our series.
Yeah.
Hydration is very important, and I used to joke that I got my water through coffee because I use water to make coffee, which is not true. So please don't ever believe that.
Yeah.
But yeah, water is really important. It's 75% of our body. It fuels every physiological process we have, and it helps to. With our lymphatics, get rid of toxins. It does everything.
Yeah, a neat study in 2013 actually found that your hydration levels were more important than food was in terms of nourishing your immune system. So if you're feeling a little bit low, I don't know, tired, sick, drink a lot of water. And that can go a long way and add some vitamin C to it.
If you're sick for lymphatics, for sure. But it's funny, when we did the water drinking challenge, I realized I wasn't as tired if I was drinking water. And it's really so simple, and I know it, but I love the routine of having coffee.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic. So when I'm tired, I want to have that coffee and a little bit of sugar and feel great. But then you crash later. But if you actually keep your hydration levels up, you have more energy. You don't have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. And then our last one are actually relationships.
Oh, wait, we totally missed something here.
No.
No?
Nope.
I feel like we missed...
Nope.
Okay.
All right. So anyway,
no stress.
That's stress. Part of it.
Okay. We'll lump them together. Okay.
Yes.
All right. We're good. It's hard doing it with someone else. Anyways. Okay.
Speaking of bad relationships.
Relationships, right? And you know what? This last year has really challenged this number, right?
Sure.
Not us.
Other
people.
Never.
Other people who are living alone, because your social connections and your social time, your social ties is huge for your immune system. You probably heard that before. It impacts the way you think. It impacts, your behaviors.
But even us being together is, you're together all the time too, and it's hard because everyone's in the same room. People who have to share more time with their kids and online school and all these things increases stress in relationships. And there's a study was done saying someone who is having a bad relationship can have 2 times the likelihood of having an illness, getting sick more often, like feeling poorly, right? Because it just has such a large impact on your overall physiology. Positive relationships obviously impact positively what's going on in your life. And it was funny because when I was looking at all of these things we're talking about tonight, with cortisol. Sorry, I love when you talk to me when I'm trying to concentrate.
Well, there's one we didn't talk about, but go, you do your little analogy.
No, it's great. Thank you very much for that positive reinforcement here. So poor relationships really have an impact, because when I was looking at this list, I'm like, God, when I've had bad relationships in the past, what has happened to me? Well, I didn't sleep well. I ate more sugar. I probably drank more. Didn't really smoke, but I thought about it. I had more coffee. Junk food was definitely something because I was depressed. I didn't really care about drinking water because what was the point in that? I didn't exercise because I was depressed. Yeah, so it's huge. Human relationships have, such a bad relationship has such an impact on our overall well-being.
Yeah, and the people who you surround yourself with, they're going to have a huge impact on you. And that's why we have this community, right? That's why we're all here. We all care about the same things. We all want to put health as number one on our priorities. And we're going to start to rub off on each other, right? Because we have similar...
It's COVID, so not literally.
Values. Yeah. So the other thing we want to talk about is gut health, because people don't always associate immune with the gut health, but 70% of your immune system resides in your gut tissue. And when we say gut, it's also referred to as microbiome. You may have heard that term, but really that is just the community of bacteria that live in your gut. And you're going to have good bacteria and bad bacteria. And what's interesting is you want to always make sure that you keep that in balance. Because the good bacteria, they are really important. They are the ones that train your immune cells to be able to identify good good bacteria versus bad bacteria as well. Okay, so you need a good or high level of the good bacteria in your gut. And so much in our world depletes our gut health, like genetically modified foods, lots of things that we talked about earlier.
Antibiotics. I just
spoke
to someone today. They had 15 years of antibiotics.
Yeah.
like chronic antibiotic use from,
Yeah,
from
that's scary.
infections, and they just kept giving more and more antibiotics, and they had to keep increasing the severity of the,
Yeah.
or the, not the severity, but the strength of the antibiotic,
Yeah.
until they finally spoke to a physician who's like, why are you doing these antibiotics?
Hmm.
You need to look at something differently because this isn't addressing the problem. So that it was great they actually found a physician who realized what she was doing was creating so much harm for her
Yeah.
system, and he got them off, and then actually worked with the naturopath, so the doctor and the naturopath worked together to help her,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, so much can throw your gut off. Like even eating foods that you're insensitive to, right? Like one of our naturopaths does this really neat test, food testing, where she identifies foods that could be triggering your immune system in a negative way. So sometimes there's things that are happening in your body that are impacting your immune system that you don't even really see, or you've become so accustomed to the symptoms that you don't even realize it's a symptom, like bloating.
Well, yeah,
gas.
just in terms of dysfunction of a system.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a big meal and thinking it's normal that we should feel bloated and tired and not feeling well.
Yeah, like not too long ago, I had a client, and he's like, "Well, I've always had gas," and that's kind of the joke in our friend group. It is bad gas, right? And he's just come to identify with that's just who he is, right? But that's we look at that a bit differently. We look at that's a sign from your body saying you got to shift things, right? You got to do something differently. Your bacteria is out of balance, and that's going to be impacting a lot of systems in your body, including your immune system. And that's not something we want to take lightly these days, right?
So basically, just try to think about some of the things that we've talked about tonight. Some things, think of some
what
areas
resonated most. Yeah.
Where do you think you could make a change? Just a small change to start.
Yeah. And
is it? Sorry, what was that? We can do that later because we've been on for a while.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that later. But
maybe
if you want extra support for your immune system right now, there's some really key vitamins and minerals that you'll want to make sure you're getting in your diet. Vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A. You can get a lot of this in food. Sometimes it helps to supplement. Zinc, excellent for immune system. But vitamin quercetin as well, melatonin, talked about melatonin, and omega-3s. But the most important thing I want you guys to walk away with is the vitamin D. There are over 80 peer-reviewed studies that show how important vitamin D is to your immune system. And that's such an easy habit to put into your life. So make sure that you are asking your doctor to check your vitamin D levels. You have to request that on your next blood work, and make sure your levels are good. Not just low end of normal, but make sure they're up there, because that's going to protect you from autoimmune, lots of chronic issues, and immune issues down the road. So
excellent. Well done.
All right. So pick one thing. That's it. Anything we talked about, just pick one thing and then make it a goal. And if you're interested in reading the blog that we wrote, reinforcing a lot of things we talked about, we'll post it below. And so make sure you have a look there, and let us know if you have any questions.
All right.
All right.
All right, guys.
Talk soon. Have a good night.